What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin Cash today. Shout out to the Dragon Riders in the House of the Dragon. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. It is the 7th day of October today, and here we are at about $579. What a blessing it is to buy Bitcoin Cash below $600. Every single day that we're below that level is a blessing. Every day that we're below $1,000 itself is a blessing. We're on the precipice of greatness, my friends. Make no mistake. I know. We keep wicking up here. We keep rejecting. We keep wicking. We keep rejecting. But we're not rejecting. We're not actually rejecting, right? We're flirting. And you guys know what happens if you flirt, right? Have you ever flirted? You flirt enough times, and what happens? You get some penetration. That's what happens. And we're probably going to get that at some point, okay? $578 now. We're on the precipice of the move that corresponds, that directly correlates with a massive break of a historical trend line, right? We've got this here. We have been consolidating below this trend line since Bitcoin Cash's inception, since the hard fork, since December 2017. We're finally above it for the last 3, maybe even 4 monthly closes in a row, actually. 3 monthly closes in a row. This is the 4th month. It will be the 4th month. And these wicks, when they happen, typically you move down immediately. The fact that we're still consolidating in this area tells me that something different is going to happen. We're not going to move down. We're going to break out. We're prodding. The price is being held back for whatever reason. Maybe I could come up with all kinds of conspiracies as to why I believe the price is being held back. But let's just say it's being held back artificially. Whenever there's no more incentive to hold it back, whenever everybody's loaded up and their bags are packed, this thing's going to unleash. And that's probably the best word to describe what's going to happen. Okay, it's going to be Bitcoin Cash's price action will be unleashed to the upside in a fashion that we haven't seen possibly ever in this thing's existence, if not something that would be comparable to its beginning months, its beginning days right here, its first half year after the hard fork. Okay, it's very likely that when we break from here, whenever we see this move take place, that we are going to see prices that are above our last cycle's highs. Okay, and there's a whole chain of events that takes place with that. Okay, let me just let's just talk real quick before we get into the price action. I like to talk with Bitcoin Cash. We've made this point before, but I want to make it again. Just think about it in case you've forgotten. First off, we haven't broken out of this range ever. What we're about to deal with is something that genuinely could be more spectacular than anything we've seen in our entire lives. I don't know how big this move is going to be. And wherever it stops, it's not going to be the end, right? We've got more to grow afterwards. We've got a lot more to grow. We're going to see new all-time highs by the end of the cycle, undoubtedly so. Massive historical consolidation range like this, we're breaking out of it, and we're not going to see new all-time highs. That's weak. That's weak, guys. Come on, no. Especially something like this that's been so diminished, put down by the crypto space. It's been hated on and it's been doubted, but it's only been building. It's only more strong now than it ever has been, right? It's going to grow. It's going to, and the recognition, let's be real, there is recognition from some key players and some people of valuable intelligence that are recognizing Bitcoin Cash, even that are recognizing. I've seen large accounts. I've even seen Carl from the moon talk about Bitcoin Cash, which is weird. I don't know if people like Carl or not. I'm assuming most Dragon Riders probably don't. I don't care for Carl one way or another. I guess I like him. I think he's entertaining. I would like to think that he's a good person, but I don't know him myself. I'm not trying to go there. I'm just trying to say, even he started talking about Bitcoin Cash, and he's buddies with Da Vinci. He's buddies with Crypto. He's buddies with CZ. Like they're all buddies, and you got some big names in the space. If they're paying attention to Bitcoin Cash, when this thing pumps, they will talk about it just for the views alone. They'll literally talk about it just for the views alone, because they're certainly not talking about it because of the tech. If they were, they would have been talking about it just as long as we have. I'm getting off the rails here. What I'm trying to talk about, because I'm getting distracted, is that when we move up, there's a lot of things that happen. Okay, first and foremost, nobody thought that Bitcoin Cash would break out of this trend. Well, it has. So now we're waiting for the big move. The big move's coming. Once the big move happens, people are going to be like, damn, I never thought the big move would happen. So there it is. It happens. And we're probably going to go even above this point. But let's just say as a conservative minimum, this is the area that we're at. Okay. Once Bitcoin Cash is above its prior cycle high, the gears start turning in people's heads. Right? At that point, something different's going on here. Something different than people expected. If we're at new all-time highs by the end of October, new highs relative to last cycle by the end of October, And it's projected that this cycle continues on till December for some people, till March for other people, till April or May. If you're like me, you believe it'll be April or May that we top off. Whatever. We're here by the end of October, but we have more cycle to go. The gears are going to start to turn in people's heads and say, oh my God, this thing has done what most cryptos can't do and never do. It had a high in its first cycle, a lower high in its second cycle, and now it's actually seen a higher high than its prior cycle. Cryptos never do that. They rarely do. XRP and Stellar Lumens are the only two to do it so far. There's not many cryptos that do that stuff, you guys. If you get a lower high cycle after cycle, you're dead. You're dead to rights. You're a scam. You're a Ponzi. You're done. Which is why there's been so much flack, so much hate, so much validation to the BTC core side, so much invalidation to the Bitcoin Cash side. What's going to happen when we get above this high? Everything changes. The validation shifts to the other side. The invalidation shifts to the Bitcoin core side, right? Bitcoin Cash is not a failed project, is what this is at this point in time, right? It's never been a failed project. I'm just talking about in terms of what the average person thinks. And at that point, you're going to have a whole class of crypto investors that haven't given you the time of day that are going to start to think differently now. Okay, if Bitcoin Cash is here, how much higher could it go? If it sees new all-time highs this cycle, could it go higher? I mean, hell, it's just like Bitcoin. Isn't it just like Bitcoin? I don't know enough about Bitcoin Cash. Maybe I'll look into it. Oh my God. It's actually better than Bitcoin. It's actually fundamentally better in almost every way possible. It's better than Bitcoin. Maybe this thing won't just see new all-time highs. Maybe it could see $100,000 too. If Bitcoin could see it, maybe Bitcoin Cash could see it. You know, like all these thoughts that you guys and I, we already have a new class of investors. The perspective will shift once we're above this high. Okay? The perspective will shift even more so once we change the trend on Bitcoin Cash to Bitcoin. Wow, a lot of chicken scratch here. Let's go to the Binance chart actually, because there's more history anyways, and there's less chicken scratch. Once things shift here, once the dynamic shifts on this chart, which it already is, right? Lower lows. You see how it's tapering off? Do you see how it's rounding out, right? Do you see this? You see it? This is a rounded bottom. This is a saucer pattern. Once we get to higher highs and we get higher lows, this BCH BTC will be, instead of against the point of the BCH Dragon Riders, it'll be in the favor of BCH. We're going to do something that coins don't do. This has actually never been done in the history of crypto. You've never seen a crypto that's lost value versus Bitcoin for multiple cycles in a row that all of a sudden starts to see higher lows and higher highs on a macro scale. Sure, you get your little pumps here and there. Sure, that happens. That's called alt season, whatever. Random pumps, they happen. But this, what we're talking about is a dynamic shift as a whole in this chart's history once we get above these highs here. And if the price goes where I think it's going to go, by the end of October, we're going to be above these highs. And at that point, you got a perspective shift on this chart that's very crucial. You have a perspective shift on this chart that's very crucial. And again, we're talking about what I think is considerably a fair estimate in what the price will do. Going just above this high. Because right there, we're at $2,000. We're even below $2,000. Who knows, guys? We could rip to prices that are at $3,000 or more. Everything that I've said is only amplified once the price goes higher. Okay? And if the price goes higher by the end of October. By the end of the year, we're looking to be at our all-time highs or at new all-time highs. Okay? And I mean, who knows? It could be by the end of the month. It could be sometime in November. We're expecting a massive breakout, and the reason why we're expecting it to be so massive, you look at the weekly time frame. I mean, first off, we're doing things on the BCH BTC chart that we've never done before. On the BCH USD chart itself, we've seen stronger readings than we ever have before. This reading here on the weekly RSI is just barely stronger than this one over here. We've also seen more consistent living in the overbought zone than we ever have before. I theorize, and I have theorized for a long time, that whenever it comes to this breakout that we're expecting in the price, that the weekly RSI will, for its first time ever in history, get above the 90. We will see the strongest readings we've ever seen in history. With that, I would assume we get the strongest moves, okay? We've also lived in the overbought zone longer than we ever have before. We've seen some of the strongest readings on the stochastics. Not the strongest readings on the MACD yet. We're going to get there too. The monthly time frame even. You look at the monthly time frame, the monthly RSI is in a stronger posturing now than it ever has been as well. We're living above the 50, where we lived at the 50 or below the 50 for most of Bitcoin Cash's life. This cycle in itself is like a third of Bitcoin Cash's existence, and we've just been above the 50 this whole time. Powerful, powerful signals. Getting deeper into the overbought zone on the stochastics, powerful signals, more so than ever before. These foreshadowings, I think, are telling us one thing and one thing only, that what's coming is going to blow this thing. It's going to blow the bears out of the water, man. It's going to blow this thing to sky high. It's going to be absolutely crazy. I want to look at the short-term stuff, and then we'll wrap this video up, okay? 1 hour time frame, volume's picking up a little bit. Bitcoin continues to drop. It's at 121.4K right now. Volume's picking up a little bit as we're dropping. I guess it's kind of decaying, actually, right? You had that initial drop, and now it's kind of decaying. 1 hour time frame. You're looking pretty bearish, but you're probably also at an area where you'd expect to bounce, okay? Lower lows in the RSI, lower highs. 4 hour time frame here, if we're looking at this, you are looking like you want to bounce off the oversold zone area, hopefully, right? You have shifted out of your upward sloping trend, and now you're down. So with this, you could absolutely come back up and then come back down, get some bullish divergence. This down move might not be over as a whole, but even if you don't bounce here, even if you have lower to go, I think that that's okay. Let's look at this real quick, because it does look like you broke out of this consolidation phase overall. Low to high here. Oh, let's see. Get the high on there. Low to high. Let's see how my bounce on XRP call was. Well, we went down like another cent or two. Went down about 2 cents. That's okay. Low to high, just below the 382. What I would say is if we don't bounce here, if you don't find support here, the probability that we go down to 563 to 557 is very high. If you don't bounce here, if you don't get back up above $582 by the end of the day, then the probability that we go down to 563 to 557 is very high. And that would be awesome. That'd be actually a very prime area to buy to acquire some more Bitcoin Cash. If we're looking at this on a daily time frame here, and actually, hold on, let me look at those indicators again on the 4 hour. Yeah, we're right at prices to bounce, places to bounce. MACD suggests we could go a little bit lower and then maybe bounce off the zero. That would look good, I think. Stochastics, you can go lower and still be fine. The RSI, you're right at an area to bounce as well. Sometimes we do get a little bit oversold, but you're right at an area to bounce. I wouldn't be surprised genuinely if we were right in here, came up, found resistance, then you found a higher low, got some bullish divergence, and then we rallied. That would imply lower prices, at which case I'm not calling for it yet, but let's just say I wouldn't be surprised if we did see, actually at this point, look at how much lower we've gone actually. Did we just drop more in the last minute? No. Is it dipped? Am I drawing it from a different place? Oh, I am drawing it from a different place. That's why. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there's still hope because we're like kind of in the middle of this range. But if we get down to 573, I would say the probability we get to 563 or 557 goes up dramatically. Okay, from there we'll bounce. From there we will move up higher. We're in a bullish phase of consolidation right now, you guys. How do we know it's bullish? Because the trend's bullish, right? Look at the trend since April. It's been nothing but up. Nothing but up. Now it's just sideways. Consolidating sideways is actually a good thing that typically allows us to grow more, gives the weak hands a chance to sell, gives the strong hands a chance to buy more before the big move, and the big move's coming. We all know it is. So I got nothing else. I don't want to say anything else. I think I've said it all. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. What I will say actually real quick before we end the video is I would like it if this week did not cross red on the MACD, or if it did, next week would have to be bullish, right? This would have to be a false cross. It's okay to get a false cross. We don't want the real deal though, okay? Just like here, you got the false crosses to the upside. Here, you got a false cross to the downside. It's okay to get a false cross, but ideally by the end of the week, if we could close higher, if we could get this week to close green, or even at new relative highs overall, I think that would look really good for the MACD. Other than that, though, I don't mind the RSI. Lower lows in the RSI, higher lows in the price, hidden bullish divergence. Same thing in the stochastics. You have places to rally on both of them. It's just a matter of time, and in no time at all, we're going to be popping champagne. I have a bottle of champagne set specifically for Bitcoin Cash once we make this breakout move, once we validate exactly everything that we've been looking for. And if it doesn't happen, if we die, then I'm going to publicly destroy that bottle of champagne without a drop going into my mouth because we don't deserve it. Hit the like button, subscribe. That's not going to happen, though. That's a bad joke. Bitcoin Cash is going to rip through the roof, guys. I'm very confident that it will. Hit the like button, subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.